Hey guys, I'm Ken and I'm here to show you how to get better at sketching. Okay, number one, no fuzzy lines. When you're drawing a line, do it confidently and do it slowly. You don't have to go fast, but just make sure it's in a single line. Don't do what I'm doing right now, which is redrawing the line over and over again.
Stop it. Get some help.
It takes a bunch of practice to draw a line cleanly in one stroke. So just do what I'm doing right now and go slow and break it down into a few strokes, but make sure it's clean and no fuzzy lines. Just don't do it, okay? Alright, so next up we have contour lines, and this is a design sketching technique, and that is to draw out the form of the object. So if you have an object that is a complex shape, it's always really good to draw these contour lines to indicate the change of the form along its surface. I mean, I also think it looks really nice, especially if you don't have a lot of surface detail. You can use this for any kind of object or any kind of surface, from soft surfaces like these blobs to even like some harder surfaces like squares or cubes. It's so much fun doing these exercises. I love it. So that brings us to our next tip, which is the shading direction. Okay, so when you shade, don't just shade randomly in any direction. You want to try and shade along the form of your object. So what you're seeing me do now is something that most people do, and that is just shading for the sake of shading and not really following the contour of the shape, which is a cylinder in this case. Instead, what you should be doing is shading according to the surface of the object. So if it's a cylinder, you should be shading according to the curve of the cylinder. If it's a square or cube, you want to be doing it in perspective. Alright, next one is about the cast shadow. Okay, so whenever you draw an object, you want to be drawing the shadow that it's going to cast, or at the very least, draw in the ground plane so that the object doesn't just look like it's floating in space. Especially when you're drawing a character, it's nice to just have a shadow or a ground plane underneath, because you don't want your character to look like it's just floating in the middle of a page. I also shaded shadow according to perspective, and that's good. Lastly, we have line weight, and this is a simple one. There are two simple rules to follow. Number one, the object in front should have a thicker line weight than the object behind it. And that is to get separation in between the two objects. Number two, when you're drawing an object, the line weight at the bottom of the object should be thicker than what is on top, and that is to give it a sense of weight. You see a lot of this technique used in manga, so go check it out and you see what I mean. Congratulations, you made it to the end of the video. Follow these 5 things and you should be better at sketching, I hope. So let's look at how these things are put into practice. So I'm drawing a grasshopper here, and you can see that I'm starting off with a bunch of confident lines. You can see when I'm drawing the legs, I am not capable of drawing these in one straight line, so I'm breaking them down into several shorter strokes to make one longer clean line. I also drew the ground plane really quickly just to get a sense of where the grasshopper is at in space. And luckily for me, the grasshopper has a lot of surface detail that kind of acts like contour lines, but they essentially do the same thing, right? So it gives me an indication of the form change and how the surface looks in 3D. Now I'm starting to give it some line weight, so the legs in front have a thicker outline than the ones behind it. And again, giving the bottom of the body a thicker line just to give it that sense of weight. Now I'm starting to shade it, and you can see that I am following the contour of the body and the legs. So I shade it according to the curve of each of the body part and not just in a straight line. Final touch-ups, just giving it a little bit of shadow and a little bit of contrast, and that's really it. I'm thinking about putting out more tutorial type content, so if you want to see that, let me know in the comments down below. So that's it. If you want to see more, please do subscribe. If you like it, like it. I will see you guys next time.